Click anywhere inside your dataset, use Ctrl-Shift-L to add a filter to this. And then you can go about using the usual filter options. Filter for names, press enter, that's my list. To deactivate the filter, click inside the dataset, Ctrl-Shift-L takes it away. It's a toggle, Ctrl-Shift-L puts it back, Ctrl-Shift-L takes it away. Click anywhere inside the dataset and press Ctrl-T. Table has headers, click on OK. Design tab is activated. You have a lot more table options. You can decide on the style you want. You can add a total row to this, summarize with a pivot table, or remove duplicates. Now there are many more advantages to tables. If for some reason you want to convert this back to a range, just click on Convert to Range. To jump from one side of your dataset to the bottom, use Control and the down arrow. To jump to the right, Control right, jump to the left, Control left, jump back up, Control up. This is much faster than using the scroll bar. Now if you want to jump to the bottom but highlight everything in between, use Control Shift down. Control Shift to the right highlights everything on the right side. I can click on the Home tab to take me to the top of the dataset. So if I had some text here and I use Control Shift to the right, it highlights everything there. It doesn't jump to D because D is in fact empty. This information is sitting in E. If I wanted to format all of these, I'm going to use Control Shift down to highlight them, Control 1, which takes me to the Format Cells options. I can decide on my formatting and press enter. If I'm not using an Excel table and I want to add a sum to this, just click on the cell below or above your dataset, use Alt =, that automatically inputs the sum function for you, and it tries to figure out the range that you probably want to sum. So in this case, it has correctly figured it out. If I had a number here and I use AutoSum here, it thinks that I want to add these two values, press enter. So it's quite smart in trying to figure out what you want to sum.
And paste your formula, but you want to have your numbers as hard-coded, so you want to paste it as values without the formula behind this. You need this shortcut. So first Control-C to copy, and then Alt-ESV to bring up the Paste Special dialog box. All you have to do now is press enter, and you've pasted it as values. Now I know this is a difficult one to remember. The way I remember it is eat some vitamins, ESV. You just have to figure out something that works for you. To add a new line inside a cell, use Alt-Enter. So you have to be in edit mode. So if you press enter here, it just moves down one cell. To move down a line inside a cell, press Alt-Enter, and now you can input your text. And you can adjust the formatting as you like. To select the entire data in the current region, click anywhere inside your dataset and press Ctrl-A. Once your dataset is highlighted, to insert a default chart, click Alt-F1. The next one is a great one. Let's say you want to add email addresses to this, and you want to repeat this pattern for the next ones. It should be james.willard, and so on. I'm going to hold down the Shift key and the down arrow key to highlight this area, and then I'm going to press Ctrl-E. That's Flash Fill Magic. It tries to figure out the correct pattern based on the pattern that I gave it first. In this case, I just gave it one option and it figured it out correctly. Sometimes for Flash Fill to work properly, you might need to give it more sample data. To highlight an entire row, use Shift and space. To highlight an entire column, use Control and space. To insert a new row or column, use Control+. This brings up the Insert dialog box. You can select Insert an entire row, entire column, but because we already learned a shortcut before this, we're going to use that first. So let's say I want to insert an entire column. I'm going to highlight the whole column. What was the shortcut key? Control space, Control+. That automatically is going to add a column. It's not going to ask you if you want a row or a column. Now let's repeat for the row. Shift and space, insert a new row, Control+. To remove an entire row, Control-. to remove an entire column, Control minus, but if you want to avoid the dialog box, we're going to highlight the entire column first, and then we're going to do Control minus. If you want to drag an entire row and drop it somewhere else, so let's say I want to move Richard Elliott in between Robert and Paul, what I'm going to do is highlight the entire row. Now, if I drag this and let it go, it's going to try to replace this data, but I don't want it to replace it. I want to actually put it in between those two. So here you drag it, but while you're dragging it, you're going to hold down the Shift key, and that's going to insert it between those two. To hide a column, use Control 0. To hide an entire row, use Control 9. When I first receive a new workbook from someone else, I want to check if anything has been hidden in there or not. The shortcut key I use is Alt semicolon. That highlights the visible cells only, and this way I get a visual indication that some rows and columns have been hidden. If nothing comes up, nothing is highlighted, it means that no rows or columns have been hidden. Now let's say I've updated this information here. I want to add a timestamp to this. I'm going to use the shortcut key Control semicolon. And if I want to add the time to it, I'm going to add a space and use Control colon and press Enter. One bonus tip, when I receive a new file and I want to highlight all